Today, we are going to go through the best fantasy football quarterback strategies for the 2025. Oh my God. Today, we are going through the best 2025 fantasy football quarterback strategies for your drafts. Now, I view this as 4 different strategies. I like 1, I like 2, I am fine with 3, and I hate 4. So, let's just get into it, right? Screw the intros. So this, I'm going to pop up my tight end tiers, or my quarterback tiers. Now, these are not my quarterback tiers. These tiers are in terms of ADP. So in terms of where they're being drafted, how they're ranked, and what round they're going in, this is what it looks like. Now, you have your top 4 elite guys. You have the tier 2 guys that are being drafted very highly. You have the tier 3 guys that you can wait more on. You have the tier 4 guys who are being drafted, barely even being drafted in redraft leagues that have some upside. And then I guess the tier after that, none of them are being drafted, have their own downsides and upsides. So let's start off with my least favorite, number 4. No, you know what? We're gonna go 1 to 4. My favorite strategy here. No, screw it. We're gonna go number 4. The worst strategy I think you can have for getting a quarterback this year is drafting one of these tier 2 guys. And people are gonna hate that, and that's okay. You might not lose your league off of it, but I think it's the worst the worst value you're going to get, and you win fantasy drafts by finding value. So, getting into it a little bit, I will say I do not mind the Joe Burrow pick, okay? He's in tier 2 because he's not an elite, he's not the same as these top 4 guys who, the first 3, Allen, Lamar, Hurts, pretty safe bet to be a top 5 quarterback every single season. They all have their own forms of rushing upside. Jaden Daniels, only 1 year sample size, but same thing. All 4 of these guys, their rushing makes them, as long as they're playing majority of the season, you don't have to worry. They're top 5. They're going to be top 5. And then most of them, maybe not Hurts, I guess, with the way they run their offense, but they all have their own, passing upside. So I don't need to touch on it. Those are easily the 4 elite quarterbacks. Burrow, I think you can throw in that tier because of his situation. Every time he's healthy, he's throwing for 4,400 plus yards. Last year was nearly 5,000, led the league, 40 plus touchdowns. Same situation, the shitty defense. Like, if he's healthy, it's likely 4,400 plus yards and 40 plus touchdowns, right? I would say, he does have a little bit of health issues, but we're not going to give a shit about that. You're not going to say, oh, you know what? I feel like Burrow's going to get hurt and not draft him. But the reason he's not in that tier is because the ceiling or the floor is not quite the same as these other guys, especially on a week-to-week basis. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you can't take Joe Burrow. So maybe disregard him. I wasn't going to put him in the first tier, though. But Mahomes, Baker, and Kyler specifically, I think are objectively bad picks this year. And I'll briefly talk about each one. Mahomes, I don't know why we continue to draft him as QB6. He easily could be a top 5 quarterback, right? We've seen it before, but he has not returned ADP in multiple seasons in a row. QB 10 last year, QB 11 year before, or vice versa. He's not returned ADP whatsoever. The rushing upside is not really there. We've seen the Chiefs want to pass the ball less, run the ball more. Their defense is elite, so they don't have to do too much. They win games by 3 to 7 points. They're not slinging it. So what are we paying that price for? I mean, just looking at the guys below him, would you be surprised if Bo Nix, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Justin Fields, Dak Prescott, if they average more fantasy points per game, if they were better fantasy football quarterbacks, because this is not real-life football. So I think taking Patrick Mahomes at QB6 when you can wait 3 to 4 rounds and take someone below him, give me that every day. Baker Mayfield had never been like a top 20-ish quarterback his whole career. was QB 10 in 2023 with his first year with the Bucs, and QB 4 last year. And I have nothing bad to say about Baker. I freaking love him. I should have worn my Baker jersey. I have a Bucs creamsicle Baker jersey and a Browns Baker jersey. One of my favorite players. Love the guy. But you're drafting him at his ceiling. And this is what we did with Stroud last year, where we drafted him at QB 5, and I said, hey, listen, I could see him go nuts and be a top 5 quarterback. But the QB 5 ADP for Stroud last year was, listen, if he doesn't throw for 4,500 yards and 45 touchdowns at minimum, without that rushing upside, that's a bad pick. He has to be an MVP candidate, literally, to return that ADP. And I think it's the same for Baker this year. Now, right, he did it last year. He did it. He threw for 4,500-ish passing yards. I can't remember the real number. And 41 touchdowns, a career high. He had never thrown more than 28 before that. So, what's the downside of this Baker ADP at QB 7? Again, you're drafting him way before guys like Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, who are all capable of putting up those numbers and have before. Bo Nix and Justin Fields, who have a ton of rushing upside, and Nix has plenty of passing volume. You can get those guys way later, and they can give you the same production. Maybe they don't. Maybe this take is stupid, but I don't think you should be drafting players at their ceiling. And again, with this career high thing, Baker threw for the most career passing yards, passing touchdowns. He had the best QBR, passer rating of his career, best completion percentage. Everything was the best. He has a great situation still, right? He's got Bucky Irving. He's got the best receiver corps in the NFL. Offensive coordinator is gone, but, you know, what do we know about that? Who am I to doubt Baker Mayfield? But I will say, historically, repeating an insane career high is probably not likely. So, again, I could see him throw for 4,000 yards and 34 touchdowns, 33 touchdowns, 32 touchdowns. Still have a great season. But that QB 7 ADP, which I didn't even mention, his rushing, he had like 300-plus rushing yards, career high there. Congrats to him. That's pretty solid for rushing for Baker. But there's a lot of things here, a lot of things you look at like that. It's got to come down a little bit, right? And even if he finishes as QB 9 or QB 10, right? Great year. He should still be a top 10 quarterback. I still have him ranked in the top 10. But his price doesn't make sense to be finding the value, right? And then lastly, Kyler Murray. I'll try to speed this up a little bit because we're still on strategy number 4. Kyler, I just think last year, I had Kyler last year and the year before. He is an absolute fucking pain in the ass. And I'm telling you, maybe I'm biased and I'm just going to sound stupid. Having him is not good. It's not fun. Sure, last year he finished as the QB 10, but he lost you as many weeks as he won you. Meaning, sometimes he'll finish as the QB 28 in 1 week. Then the next week he's QB 6. Then he's QB 4. Then he's QB 29. Like, there was no in between, and matchups weren't helpful at all. If he was playing the worst defense, you threw him in your lineup and he dropped a dud. Next week you said, oh God, now he's got a tough matchup. I can't start him. He goes off. It doesn't make sense. Aside from that, his fantasy points per game, the last 2 seasons with Drew Petzing at offensive coordinator, and his rushing attempts have gone down. Now, they said they want to run him more. We'll see if that happens. But he doesn't have the same ceiling as he used to as a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, in the Drew Petzing offense. And he's a pain in the ass on a week-to-week basis. You don't know what you're going to get from him. And, aside from all that, he's more expensive than all these other guys that I like more. So that's simply why I'm avoiding these couple of guys. Let's see. Strategy number 3. This one. Shoot. Okay, strategy number 3 is waiting for these tier 4 plus guys, which I don't mind. And this, in my 10-man league at home that we've been running for 10 plus years, there's a guy in that league that finishes top 3 every single season, and he has not drafted a quarterback for a while now. I'm not recommending the strategy, but I can get behind it, especially this year. It's deep as shit at the quarterback position. Drake May probably belongs in the tier above. Definitely does in terms of my rankings. ADP probably goes a little bit earlier than these other guys in this tier, but he's going as QB 17. Herbert is, 16 or 18. Jordan Love's around that range. Stroud is closer to QB 20, but Stroud was QB 11 last year. Jordan Love dealt with injuries and a run-heavy offense because of that last year, but the year before he was QB 5. We've seen Justin Herbert finish as top 3 quarterback. Under Harbaugh last year, he was top 15, gave you good weeks. Apparently, they want to be more pass-heavy. They signed Keenan Allen. Rashawn Slater got hurt. Drake May, I'm all in on him. I think he's an easy top 12 quarterback. We got a sneak peek of his rushing upside in the preseason. He needed one drive to score, to get 16 rushing yards and a touchdown on the ground. He was second in scramble yards last year, and top, just in terms of rushing yards per game, was among the top of the league in QBs. They added Stephon Diggs, Kyle Williams, Travion Henderson, better coaching all around, better everything. So these guys, likely outside of these top 3 guys, there's kind of a wall where everyone's like, all right, everyone probably has their QB by now. Some of them might take a QB too early, but for the most part, it's going to chill out on the drafting. So you could wait for a Drake May and a Jordan Love and just have a little 1-2 punch. You can decide when to start either one depending on matchups. I don't hate it. Because again, Love's been top 5. I think May will be top 12. Stroud's been top 12. Herbert's been top 12. They have their risk, they have their highs, they have their lows, but you don't have to pay a damn price for them. You might be able to just stream these guys, and honestly, we'll group them in a little bit with the guys below. Trevor Lawrence arguably could be in this tier. I'm not the biggest Lawrence guy, but the Liam Cohen offense, some elite weapons nowadays with Hunter and BTJ. If he stays healthy and Cohen fixes him, that could be a top 15, top 12 QB. Bryce Young was QB 5 in the last 5 games of last season. He's got his own rushing upside. Tua, Penix, Stafford, they'll have their good weeks. You can stream them against bad defenses. Anthony Richardson, we don't know what the situation is, if he's going to start. If he does, how long he's going to last. But I will tell you this. When he is a starter, he's given you multiple top 5 finishes. He's been a top 15 quarterback in 7 out of the 12 full games he's played. He may lose you a week, but he also could finish top 5 and win you a week with the rushing upside. But anyway, the point here is there are plenty of options down here that can give you good weeks. You could stream and, just go off of matchups and not pay, just stack up at the other positions. I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. Gotta open my Red Bull. Wonder how that sounded. All right, before the top 2 strategies, though, if you're a guy that likes to put money on player props in the preseason, or you're just waiting for week 1, or even season-long projections, where is this guy going to get 1,000 yards or not? The best 2 places to join are Underdog and Chalkboard. So first off with Underdog, if you join with the code FORTUNE, you can get your deposit matched up to $1,000. Not matched, 50%. So if you put in $100 with the code FORTUNE, they'll give you another $50. They'll also give you a free half-a-yard pick to pair with your pick. Chalkboard, same code, join with the code FORTUNE. They'll give you a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you put $100 in that one, you'll also get $100. Or there's another way. If you straight up just make an account on Chalkboard and you join with the code FORTUNE, they are going to throw $20 free at you for not even depositing money. Now, if I were you, I would take advantage of the deposit match as well, but you're going to get 20 free bucks right off the bat. These are the states it's available in. Those are phenomenal deals. Now, if you're not on those 2 apps, Dabble is another one. The separate code, though, code LIPPER, L-I-P-E-R. Code FORTUNE was taken there. But code LIPPER, if you join with that, they'll just give you a free $10, no deposit needed. And another cool thing about Dabble is their season-long projections and in-season as well. But I have in my draft guide Dabble and Underdog season-long lines. They're very different. If you're looking to take the higher than or a lower than on a certain player, I recommend checking out Dabble, seeing if you can get a 50-yard difference, because there is a lot of differences. So code LIPPER on that one gets you free $10 and some really exploitable projections, if you ask me. So tier or strategy number 2, this one is going to be elite quarterback. I'm never going to sit here and tell you taking Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, or Lamar Jackson in the early rounds. I'm never going to tell you not to do that. It's not going to lose you your league. All of them, barring injury, are extremely safe, and I'd be very surprised if all of them weren't at least about around the top 5. Allen's been top 2 for 5 years in a row now. Lamar just came off the best fantasy QB season of all time. Hurts has been top 4 of fucking pretty much every year. So these are always going to give you an edge at QB. Now, the only reason it's not number 1 is because there's just so much freaking value this year and so many undervalued QBs that you can wait a long-ass time for that I think will be top 10 quarterbacks. So that's the only reason this is not 1. But you want to be the guy to take Allen or Lamar at the 2-3 turn, or Hurts/Daniels at the 3-4 turn. I'm not going to tell you shit. Go ahead. You're going to have an elite quarterback. And as long as you nail your later round picks, that could be a good-ass team. But the number 1 strategy, and this is the one I find myself doing the most, wait on these tier 3 guys and / Drake May. Let's just officially pretend I have Drake May in that tier. You get past the 4 elite quarterbacks. Then you have the tier 2 guys that are way more expensive than the tier 3 guys for no reason outside of Burrow, in my opinion. Just not a price that you should be willing to pay, in my opinion. Tier 3, though, you have Bo Nix, who was the QB5 in the second half of the season. There was a chart from Joel Smith, guy I follow on TikTok, I'm sure you all know him, who showed, oh God, what was it, like percentage of fantasy points from rushing, and basically showing if this player lost this rushing upside, how valuable would they still be? And the 2 guys that stood out were Lamar Jackson and Bo Nix, who are known with rushing upside, but if they lost a lot of rushing upside, they were still very valuable because they passed the shit out of the ball as well. Bo Nix, I love Bo Nix this year. Jared Goff, career highs across the board last year. He was the QB6. He's going QB 10 to 15, depending on what app. Underdog, he's QB 15. Other, sleeper, I think maybe QB 10. I think he's probably due for a little bit of aggression, but hey, who knows? Maybe they have to pass the ball more. It's a decent value. Brock Purdy, last year he was the QB 10. When there was Ayuk tore his ACL, Debo sucked ass, McCaffrey was out for the year. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but holy shit, like all of his players outside of Kittle were injured. The team sucked, and he was the QB 10. What did he do the year before? QB 6, MVP candidate up until the last few weeks when he kind of shit the bed in prime time a little bit, but the 6th best fantasy quarterback. This guy is going to be good. This offense is projected to be top 5 scoring. They got Pearsall, Jennings, Ayuk will be back at some point. Christian McCaffrey's back, George Kittle. Why are we not drafting this guy as a top 10 quarterback? Like, he's going outside the top 10. Like QB 11 or QB 12, but that's a guy that can be a QB 6. And you're like, damn, why did I just waste a pick on Mahomes or Baker or Kyler when Purdy went way later and has the same chance of doing that, in my opinion. And then my 2 favorite picks, really 3 favorite picks if we put Drake May in here, but Justin Fields is QB 14 or 15, depending on what app. And Dak Prescott, same thing, QB 12, 13, 14, depending on the platform. Dak Prescott has been every year that he's played 16 games at least, top 10 quarterback. We've seen him finish top 5 before. I think this is literally just discount Joe Burrow. His defense is going to be ass, just like the Bengals. They don't really have a run game. Their running backs pretty bad. They don't even have like a Rico Dowdle, Tony Pollard this year. Receivers, they picked up George Pickens to pair with CeeDee Lamb. This is the best set of weapons he's had. They have an in-house hire at head coach who knows what the Dak-CeeDee connection. They're going to move George Pickens around. Dak 2 years ago was the runner-up MVP candidate and a top 10 fantasy quarterback with ease. This guy doesn't get hurt this year. I think he's a very clear top 10 quarterback with a ceiling of a Joe Burrow type of top 5 finish, if you ask me. He could throw for 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns or some shit. And lastly, Justin Fields isn't even being drafted as a starter in most leagues right now, which I think is stupid. I do understand. Maybe week 9 or 10 comes along and he gets benched. But I'll take 8 games if that's the case. It might not even be the case, but if that is the case, I will take gladly 8 games of Justin Fields, considering 2 full seasons in Chicago, QB6 and QB9 in fantasy points per game. Last year, he played 6 games at the beginning of the season before they moved to Russell Wilson. He was the QB7 in that span. We saw preseason, he just needed 1 drive to get a little 17-yard rushing touchdown. You guys can comment all you want. Justin Fields sucks. He's so bad. The offense sucks. He's going to get benched, blah, yada, yada, whatever. The fact of the matter is, when he is a starting quarterback, he is easily a top 10 fantasy quarterback because of the rushing upside. And you can say, oh, he can't pass the ball. Like, doesn't matter. Bro threw for 2,200 yards career high with the Bears and rushed for 1,000 yards on the side and finished as QB6. So I don't know what the hate is on Fields. He is a good value. So, again, my number one strategy, if you miss out on elite QBs, you can maybe have Burrow in that tier. Don't waste your time with Mahomes, Baker, Kyler. They could pan out, but again, if they do pan out, there's really no upside, I don't think. None of those guys are going to be top 3 to 4 QBs. Just wait later and grab a Bo Nix, a Goff, a Purdy, a Fields, a Dak, or a May as my number one strategy, because all of those guys have easy top 10 upside, in my opinion, and they are the best values in fantasy football. So those are my strategy rankings. Number 1, wait on those guys. Number 2, get an elite quarterback. Number 3, just wait till the end, pick up a Jordan Love, a Trevor Lawrence, and just stream. And number 4, pay the price for these guys and draft them at their ceilings. I think that's pretty fair. And lastly, I talked about Underdog and Chalkboard and Dabble. But if you're not really a prop guy, maybe you like to just bet on who's going to win this game, who's going to win, how many are they going to win by, all the shit, spreads and money lines. If you do it on Novig and you join with the code FORTUNE, get up to $100 free. And these are the states it's available in, pretty much every state. If you're not 21, just join Rebet. You can do this at 18 years old and get a 100% deposit match up to $100 if you join with the code FORTUNE. Pretty cool. I mean, when I was 19, I wish this existed. I'm about to turn 23 here in a few days. Excuse me. Being able to be 18 and do that, hell yeah. But anyway, comment down below your thoughts. Leave a like or a comment. Or some sort of feedback. I basically determine what more, like, if you guys leave a lot of likes and comments on a certain video, I'm like, shit, I need to do more of that. So, and I enjoy the feedback. So thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next one.